It's on. Okay. Hi, Deb. I'm Sue Farnlocker. My pronouns are he, she, her, they, and I'm happy to serve on the Board of Trustees. I'm fairly tall, white, 75, glasses, varying shades of red and gray hair. Thank you for joining us, both in person and online. Please take a moment and silence your cell phone. Please. We've had a lot of that recently. You may have noticed that speakers during the worship service are providing a brief visual description of themselves. Doing this increases our inclusivity and welcome for people who live with visual impairments and for those who are listening online instead of watching. You can use the QR code on the screen to let us know you're here, as well as to find information about our church and how you can help. If you are visiting for the first time this morning, welcome. We invite you to gather here in front of the candle table after the service to learn more about us. You can even light a candle, and you can receive a welcome gift, first-timers. Also, after the service, anyone can join me or another board member to chat about many things happening at church. We have a few announcements this morning. In room 301, you can hear about the first UU eco-justice groups and what they're doing to explore reducing our church's building carbon footprint. If you cannot be here in person today, there will be an online meeting July 22nd and 30th in the evenings. Watch Friday News to sign up for either of those sessions. This Friday is bingo night. Our church is now an official charitable bingo site in the state of Ohio. Join us Friday to raise money for our congregation and to win cash prizes. $25 gets you a full night of bingo fun for ages 18 and up. There are also concessions available, so grab a friend, try your luck at all this in supporting this vibrant community. You may have noticed by your lack of an order of worship that this Sunday will be a little different. We're excited to introduce everyone to the format being developed for the 9:15 services starting this fall. This is a slightly shorter and intentionally intergenerational worship service that we hope you find worthwhile. If you find you really enjoyed today's services and would like to help create any of our alternative worship services, I invite you to join the team. There are large and small roles available. You can present readings, lead songs, or meditations, source content, create interactive worship pieces or playlists to help schedule participants. Your time commitment can range from an occasional to more regular commitment. Contact Christine Davidson to learn more about it. Finally, while it's not the focus of today's service, we want to acknowledge yesterday's events in Pennsylvania. Unitarian Universalism believes in the right of free speech and the democratic process. Attacks like those on at Saturday's political rally weaken democracy. At a time when democracy is already at risk, these events will only make our political environment more precarious. As we prepare to meet this moment, we must return to our spiritual grounding and faithful practice. Take a breath. Reflect together, wait for emerging truth over quick speculation. Anchor yourself in communities and relationships that foster resilience, liberation, and strategy. Cultivate nuance and seek out deep wisdom, political analysis, and spiritual grounding, as misinformation will be rampant. Our faith tradition is rooted in the values of human dignity, justice, compassion, and democratic principles. We will remain vigilant in our commitment to protecting our democracy and the integrity of its principles and the rights of all people. Let us keep love at the center. We are in this together. Thank you.
Good morning. Hi. Okay, so my name is Avni Varma, and I have been a part of this church since summer of 2019. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a South Asian woman in my early 30s with chaotic curly hair and glasses. And as our land acknowledgement this morning, we are going to share words from Chris Archie, Executive Director of The Circle, a Canadian organization that connects philanthropists with indigenous organizations and educates about the decolonizing of wealth. When you hear the words decolonization, white supremacy, patriarchy, or even racism, do you feel something? Do you get a chill down your back, randomly start crossing your arms, get tense all over your body, or even just feel an urge to resist? Well, good. When your body is cold, it shivers. When it's hungry, it growls. When it's in fear, it shakes. And when it's sad, it cries. Your body is meant to respond, whether that be physical or emotional. And it's the same when deconstructing what you've been taught. It tells you that something is there and that you must go through it and find ways to process it. Right?
Hello, welcome and thank you everyone for being here. My name is Christine Davidson. I'm your volunteer staff assistant as well as a NoUUrish coordinator. I'm a large middle-aged person with curly gray and brown hair, wearing glasses and a long black dress with a crochet top over it. In this service, we'll be exploring themes of how bravery and vulnerability can strengthen ourselves and communities. For those who would like something to do with their hands while we're here together, there are toys in the We Worship area and busy bags that you can find out in the gallery. There are also some scratch art bookmarks available in the back on the tables there. And a little bit about doing something with your hands. A focus of this style of worship is to involve our whole bodies. It's pretty typical in our culture to attend church mostly from the neck up. This service is focused on giving participants the opportunity to include all of themselves. If you find you need to get up and move around, stretch, find a place to sit or lay down on the floor, any of that is appropriate and acceptable in this space. Listen to your body about what it needs to be as present as it can be here, today, this morning, together. Bethany is going to light the chalice for us this morning, and our chalice lighting words are from Pat Urabek-Lichty. Bethany, you gonna come up? We come from many places, along different paths, bringing different truths. We come with different histories and different realities, and yet we come together as one people, with faith that we can use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring wholeness to a fractured world. We come seeking to find community, to find acceptance of who we are. In this place, we may find others who are much like us and others who are much different. May our lit chalice remind us that we are a people taught by different stories with many voices, but always one people, working for a world where love creates justice and justice gives birth to peace. Good job. Thanks, Bethany. So before our first song, everybody's favorite, let's take a little time to introduce yourself to someone in the room that you don't know or don't know well, and share with them something that you like to do in the summertime. There's about 2 minutes for this. I'll set the visual timer, and we'll signal the end by ringing the bell. So find somebody you don't know very well, introduce yourself. Did anyone have a thing that they look forward to that they would like to share? If you did, raise your hand and we'll bring a microphone to you so that we can make sure that everyone can hear. Did anybody have something that they wanted to share about something they enjoy in the summertime? Summer Institute? Yeah, an extra special thank you to everybody who was at Summer Institute last week and still managed to make it to service today. It was an excellent week, but it does take a day to recover from. I'm sorry? Or more, yeah. Some of us agreed to do a worship service the day after. We weren't thinking all the way. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So our song for this service is by Lee Morris. I'm going to lead us in both singing and body movements that go along with the song. We're going to sing it 3 times. The motions for the song are fairly simple, so we're just going to pick them up as we go along. You are invited to stand, to rise in body or spirit, or you can stay seated or do it from the ground, whatever you feel comfortable with. And here we go. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. Thank you, everybody. You can have a seat. Cameron, it's your turn.
Good morning. I prefer to read it from here. Thank you. I am Cameron Betts. I am a young adult member of this congregation. I am a 19-year-old woman. I have a blue hat, denim tank top thing, and black shorts today. Today's story is called The Neighborhood, written and illustrated by Rocio Bonilla. Once upon a time, there was a neighborhood like so many others. It had houses, streetlights, trees, and neighbors who had never met one another. Camilla lived at number 15. There was always a lot of noise coming out of her house. The neighbors figured she was hard of hearing, so she had to turn up the volume on her TV. But the real reason for all that noise was that Camilla had 10 babies who were 10 bundles of energy. Camilla didn't dare start up a conversation with her neighbor, Mr. Martinez. He seemed so serious and straight-laced. She was convinced he didn't like kids and wouldn't want to have anything to do with her. Mr. Martinez worked in the city. He was an important lawyer, just like his mother, grandfather, and great-grandfather before him. But when Mr. Martinez got home from work, he changed completely. He had a secret hobby, juggling. If only I had an audience, he sighed. His neighbors were a noisy hen and a huge dragon who didn't seem to have much of a sense of humor. The truth was that there was no huge dragon living on the street. Mr. Martinez's neighbor was a little mouse who lived in fear because a cat had moved in nearby. We all know what cats like to eat, right? Philip the mouse was very creative, and he came up with a clever solution to keep him... Sorry, I skipped a word and it didn't make sense. And he came up with a clever solution to keep his very dangerous feline neighbor from coming anywhere near him. What Philip couldn't possibly imagine was that the cat just across the street was vegan, so he never ate mice. Rodolfo the cat loved to play cards, knit pillows, and most of all, lovingly tend his vegetable garden. Rodolfo was so shy that he never even once waved to his neighbor. Would you risk annoying a fierce dragon? On the corner lived Matilda, a brilliant scientist. She worked all day in her garage, building astonishing inventions. Matilda spoke only to her robots because she had no one else to talk to. She figured no one lived next door. That house was always locked up tight. But someone did live there. It was just that Mr. Paquita slept all day like owls do. Mrs. Paquita, not Mr. Paquita, Mrs. Paquita. Then she spent all night on the internet, reading the news and playing game after game of solitaire. She didn't even remember to raise her blinds. Pepe the ogre lived at the top of the beanstalk. No one ever rang his doorbell, so he never left the house. He was convinced his neighbors were afraid of him, because ogres have such a bad reputation. The truth was that Pepe was a bookworm who yearned to share his love of reading. He dreamed about organizing a book club in the neighborhood, or even better, the 2-1 for books about traveling for superheroes, which were his favorite kind. I think maybe a word got deleted there. Then one fine day, something terrible happened. Mrs. Paquita's internet connection stopped working. Oh dear, this is horrible, she moaned. Matilda was shocked to hear her neighbor. Someone did live next door. Since Matilda was very handy, she was able to solve Mrs. Paquita's problem in the blink of an eye. The next day, Mrs. Paquita realized that she needed one more egg for her cake recipe. She rang her neighbor's doorbell for the first time ever. Pepe the ogre was very pleased to see she wasn't afraid of him and ran downstairs to have tea and cake. Camilla looked out her window and was surprised to see 3 neighbors eating cake together. They made her think she should try knocking on Mr. Martinez's door. She found out that he wasn't so straight-laced after all. Rodolfo the cat got a big surprise when he decided to put aside his fear and shyness and go visit his dragon neighbor for the first time. Soon, everyone knew one another. They became friends. The neighborhood was now something different, a community. And everybody was happier. The end. Now comes the biggest difference between the NoUUrish format and our typical Sunday services. Instead of me reading you an interpretation of this story, we are going to explore what we each got out of this story together. You're welcome to think about your answers in your own head, but you are encouraged to share with all of us. If you have your own question or idea about the story that you'd like to share, you're welcome to do that too. If you want to share, I ask that you raise your hand or you stand so that we can bring a microphone so that everyone can hear you. There's a question to read, but I do see someone standing, so I was going to let them go first and then read the question. Please.
So I'm Deborah, and I was struck by the amazing creativity of the stories that people made up about other folks without even checking in.
Mm-hmm. Straight ahead. There we go.
Hi, my name's Cassia. It made me think of something a good friend is always telling me about assume best intent, that you don't always know where other people are coming from or what they actually mean, regardless of what you think they mean.
I'm Deb, and I was struck by also the creativity that every one of us has in it, and we just need to let it out and share it.
And I'm Tom. I'm part of a Thursday noontime lunch group of retirees, and quite a number of years ago when one of our members died and we went to their memorial service and we went, I never knew any of that about that person. We started an every other month gathering called How I Got Here, where we learn each other's stories. And it's amazing what we all have that we can bring forward.
Hi, my name is Piper. I love my family and their guardian.
Sorry to make you work, Noe. I'm Jay. Yeah. I was just kind of thinking about the end and thinking about community, and everybody's happier, right, is the last line. And sure, maybe, but any community is going to have conflict, and I thought everybody's healthier.
Thank you for coming so far. My name is Kathleen, and the story reminds me how dangerous fear is because we can get stuck in it so easily, and it's really isolating, and it puts up this barrier between us and other people.
Okay, I'm gonna go this one.
I was amazed at a vegan cat.
Thank you. My name is Carrie, and what really stuck out to me about the story was the fact that, as someone who struggles to ask for help, you can get by on your own, but you don't have to, and there's nothing wrong with relying on other people, and that doing that makes everybody stronger.
Hi, my name is Liz. I was really touched by the way that the story framed the gifts of each of the characters as gifts to be shared, rather than like talents or skills to get ahead.
I was just thinking from some of these comments that I was reading something once that said that you would think that to make friends with somebody, you would offer them things. You would give them, oh, here's a pencil that you can have. But instead, they found that actually people formed bonds when you were the person asking for things. So, Noe, can I borrow a pencil? And now I have strengthened our bond because I've asked for something that I needed.
I know, I was joking.
My name is Becca, and one of the things that I really liked about the story was how different people were in different circumstances. The lawyer, the straight-laced lawyer who's actually a juggler, and the cat who looks like a cat but he's vegan, and that what we see on the outside isn't the whole story ever.
I was thinking about how I've read in the news and recently listened to a daily podcast talking about this age of increasing loneliness and isolation. with many reasons for that. And so really I thought about that and how this story expressed that isolation, but the potential of reaching out for community.
Alrighty, I believe that is all for our wondering part right here. Thank you everyone for sharing. Thank you, Noe, for running the microphone around. So sometimes we do a little art as a part of these services. However, given the logistics today, it wasn't quite a practical idea. There are 2 tables set up at the back where you can sit and make your very own sticker. It can be whatever you want. I'm going to throw out the prompt of making something that shows something about you that might not be apparent at first glance. Maybe you juggle or make dragon puppets. Feel free to move back to the tables to work at any point, and after the service, bring your design to the table in Beach Hall, and we'll transform your art into a sticker. Thank you.
Now we're going to sing our song again twice with the motions and give ourselves a chance to move after all of that. As our beloved children return to they didn't come up, down, but they head to their classes. However, if they'd like to stay for the full service today, they're very welcome to. So rise if you're willing and able and feel like it, and if not, do it seated. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are, just as you are without changing a thing. Just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. And now Jacques is going to come up and talk about our Share the Plate and offering for today.
Good morning. I am the team leader for the food insecurity team, and you can find me at the table in Beach Hall every Sunday. About 6 years ago, I was driving through Linden, which is one of the poorest parts of Franklin County, and I saw a sign that said free produce, so I pulled over, and I've been volunteering there ever since. It's a food pantry at the church on Oakland Park, right at McGuffey and Oakland Park, and it's a block east of the Oakland Park Nursery, if that helps you. Anyway, it started off one Wednesday a month, and we were doing 125 families and in 2 hours, and then the virus hit, and we started doing a lot more, and they increased it to twice a month. And so every first and third Wednesday, we service 350 families. And they all get a representative of 6 different produce items and milk and a dozen eggs and a gallon of milk. So it's really beneficial to one of the poorest parts of Franklin County, and people come from a couple of miles around. And if you're interested in volunteering, there's a very easy task like putting vegetables and fruit into bags, because a lot of it we get unbagged. And you can come and volunteer around noon, and the Lutheran Social Services LSS portal works for volunteers. But anyway, it's a wonderful group, and it helps a lot of people, and I get proxy forms from Mid-Ohio, so I'm allowed to pick up for 8 families a month that I take all of that to after volunteering there. So anyway, it's been really beneficial to me. It makes you feel good when you can see all the people you're helping, and in one of the poorest parts of Franklin County. So just come on out and volunteer. I invited Stuart Smith out, and he volunteered, and he had a good time. And you get to meet all kinds of people because the church there is really so small that all the 20 volunteers that are there every week, every first and third Wednesdays, that none of them go to that church. So you meet people from all over the county. And it's pretty exhilarating, and you can't do anything but feel good once you help all those families. Anyway, it's time for the offering, and this is the church on Oakland Park, AKA the North Linden Lutheran Church. Thank you very much.
I'm grateful for the sun that shines. I'm grateful for the rain. And when life's bumps and life's bruises come, I'm grateful all the same. So just knowing I am a lonely soul, hand in hand with a world full of lonely souls, brings peace and love to my beating heart, and faith blooms in me again. I'm grateful for music that I may hear. I'm grateful for a tune, the songs that seem to flow through my mind like a river chasing the moon. So just knowing I am a lonely soul, hand in hand with a world full of lonely souls, brings peace and love to my beating heart, and faith blooms in me again. I'm grateful for a smiling face. I'm grateful to see you today. I'm grateful for nature around us all, and for feeling each joy and each pain. Somehow knowing we are all lonely souls, hand in hand with every lonely soul, brings peace and love to each beating heart, and faith blooms in us again. And what is this faith that I'm speaking of? It isn't in some old bearded man up above. It's music and poetry, beauty and love in all of us everywhere. It's music and poetry, beauty and love in all of us everywhere.
Okay, so the pastoral care listener for this week is Bob Fioroni. In many smaller congregations, joys and sorrows are shared as part of the worship service, and since we are typically a smaller group, we incorporated that practice into the NoUUrish format. If you have a particular joy that you want to share with the community here, or if you have a challenge that you would like to name and have others hold space for you, you are invited to come up or stand and share what is on your heart, and then light a candle after you have spoken. We try to keep these sharings to a few sentences so that everyone who wants to has time to speak before we can move on to the next part of the service.
So my joy was getting together with 300 plus, 335 was our final number, other Unitarian Universalists from around the Northeast, really, for a whole week of actually going to service and enjoying it every day and going to workshops. So Summer Institute was gorgeous last week. That is a big joy.
I feel sorrowful that I feel like I let activities take over my brain at SI, and I wish that I had spent more time with the people I went there to see, but that leads like hope and like change for next time of I think I want to do that.
So I am excited because I just have a new full-time job that I got. And I'm a little bit nervous because it's been more than 25 years since I was fully employed full-time by somebody else. So this is going to be a new learning for me, so thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robin. So, serendipity, I guess. This is a joy. We have pet birds, and we also foster for a local parrot rescue. So we have pets, rescues, adoptions, fosters. Well, we had 2 of these little birds who've been sitting on eggs, but nothing happening, which is just fine because we have just pets, right? Well, 18 days ago, guess what hatched? We have a little baby cockatiel, and it's just amazing watching this little life and develop and grow. And so far we're calling them Cleo, which means pride or glory. So maybe for the blessing, we'll be able to bring baby Cleo to meet everybody.
Oh, yes.
Thanks. I'm Jay McNeil. Most of you know that Kelly is my spouse and one of the pastors, and she's been on study leave. But unfortunately, she's had mono like the whole time, so she's kind of just been bedridden. And she wanted me to make sure that I shared that with you, and since this seemed like a good way to do that. So if you'll hold her in your thoughts.
Anyone else? Okay. Yeah, they're all good? Okay. Thank you everyone for sharing these pieces of lives with us. We hold both your joys and your sorrows as part of our sacred community.
Hi, my name is Noe. I'm a short, white, non-binary human with geometric glasses, faded green hair, and wearing black overalls today. For our grounding this morning, I'd like you to pay attention to your breathing while I read this meditation on courage and vulnerability by Douglas Taylor. Don't worry about breathing more deeply or slowly. You don't need to focus on in through your nose or out through your mouth, or in through your mouth and out through your nose. Just notice the air moving into and out of your body. Do you take short breaths, long ones? Do you pause between inhalation and exhalation? Just notice how your body moves the breath in and out while you listen to these words. I am learning to let down my guard. We all know about the deep instinct to respond to difficulty and stress with either fight or flight, with force or swift retreat, with decisive attack or prompt withdrawal. When faced with stress or difficulty or challenge, I am learning to let down my guard. I am learning to be vulnerable. I am seeking the courage to be open. I would have my vulnerability be a choice made from my courage rather than my fear. I would have my vulnerability be my strength. May my strength be not found as a hard shell of defense or a sharp weapon of attack. May my strength instead be found in an open stance of kindness and empathy, like a tree bending gracefully in the windstorm. May my strength be found in a willingness to join in the suffering of others, like a forest of trees together in a storm. May I choose to be receptive rather than protected, sharing rather than shielded. In this way, may I face my own suffering and the suffering of others with a nimble capacity to respond with compassion. In this way, may my vulnerability be an invitation for others to meet me in the open field with a yearning for understanding and peace. I know this is a risk. I know I may be hurt. I know things may not go well. But still, I will seek the courage to set aside the closed fist, the stinging retort, the barbed judgment of others. I will seek within myself the strength to stand exposed and unguarded before the world, in the wind, open to difficulty, not because I cannot be any other way, but because I have chosen this better way. I am still learning to be vulnerable. I seek the courage to be so vulnerable. May I have others who can help me to be so courageous. May my example serve others as well as myself. And may my strength be our strength in sharing this life openly with others. We're almost to the end of our time together this morning. Before closing with our final song and chalice extinguishing, let's do a little more connecting. Go ahead and look around the room. Find someone you know at least a little bit. Catch their eye, go up to them, and share something about them that you appreciate. Maybe you've seen them do something cool, or you like something they're wearing. Maybe they just seem interesting, or you're glad they showed up here today. And if you can't think of something to say, or this seems too much, maybe just make eye contact with somebody, smile and bow or wave.
Hey, Abigail, can I have the other mic? Thanks. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are, just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. Thank you, everybody. And now, you ready?
All right. Okay. Now let us extinguish our chalice together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love.
Thank you, everyone. If you made a sticker, if you bring it to Beach Hall, I will help you stickerize it. And otherwise, see you in coffee hour. Thank you very much for coming today.